Just for You, a novel by Kennedy Brown. Synopsis. Yo, so this is the real deal about what happens when you think you've grown and some smooth-talking older dude makes you believe he's your ticket out the hood. My name is Dorothy Dottie Dandridge Barnes, I'm 17, and I messed up bad. It all started when me and my sister Nina went to check on our oldest sister Marilyn at college. Come to find out, sis wasn't even in school no more. She was out here living her best life working at this bougie gentleman's club called Mary's Place. I'm talking townhouse, designer bags, new whip, the whole nine. And honestly, I wasn't even mad. I was impressed. That night changed everything though. Nina got drugged and violated by some rich dude with connections, and instead of getting justice, my mama took $75,000 to keep quiet and even put Nina in a mental hospital to shut her up. That messed me up, not just what happened to my sister, but how everybody in my family just folded for that money. But me? I met Alan Kelly that same night. 27, fine as hell, pilot for a private jet company. He treated me like a queen, expensive restaurants, shopping sprees, made me feel seen. My mama tried to shut it down, talking about he was too old for me, but I was about to turn 18 and graduate. I felt like I knew what I was doing. So when Alan said he wanted to be with me, I left home. Straight up walked out and didn't look back. For 2 weeks, I was living the dream in an extended stay motel. We were together every day and night. I thought I found my person. Then I got pregnant. Alan acted all happy, gave me $10,000 to shop for the baby, took me to this exclusive rooftop restaurant to celebrate. I really thought we were about to be a family. But a few days later, ghost. Blocked my number, blocked me on everything. Gone. Come to find out, this man got a whole wife and 3 kids I didn't know nothing about. He just dipped and left me pregnant, broke, and basically homeless at 17. I had to get a job at that same motel just to survive. Now I'm working reception, pregnant, trying to figure out how I'm gonna raise this baby by myself. And the whole time, I keep thinking about how I treated Nina after she got violated, how I was so caught up in Alan and his promises that I didn't really have her back when she needed me most. Now here I am, about to be somebody's mama, too stubborn to go home and admit I was wrong, but scared I can't do this on my own. This is my story about learning the hard way that everything that glitters ain't gold, and some men will tell you exactly what you want to hear just to get what they want. Just for You is about the consequences of moving too fast with the wrong person, family secrets that hurt more than they protect, and what it really means to grow up when you got no choice, but to figure it out. Chapter 1. Dottie. Great expectations in 9 months. It's been 11 months since I walked out my mama's house thinking I was about to live my best life with Alan Kelly. 11 months since I chose a man 10 years older than me over my own family. And now look at me, belly big as hell, working a front desk job at Down Home Extended Stay, the same motel where Alan used to lay up with me before he found out I was pregnant and disappeared like smoke. I should have known better. That's what everybody gonna say when they find out. You should have known better, Dottie. But when you 17 and somebody treat you like you matter, like you special, like you the only person in the world, you don't think about what you should know. You just feel what you feel. Let me take you back to where this all started. The weekend me and Nina went to visit Marilyn at college. We was so hyped to see our big sister doing her thing, getting her education, making something of herself. Our daddy had been paralyzed in an accident, and things at home was tight. My brothers Carrie and Clark was trying to step up. We all moved into a bigger house together, and it felt like we was just starting to get back to normal. Mama finally agreed to let us visit Marilyn. We took the Greyhound up there, ready to see her dorm room and meet her college friends. Instead, what we found was that Marilyn had dropped out and was living in a whole townhouse with 2 other girls, Sonia and Arias. Designer clothes hanging in the closet, brand new Lexus in the driveway, expensive perfume on the dresser, all from working at Mary's Place. Mary's Place wasn't just some regular club. This was where rich men came to be entertained by beautiful women, where dates cost more than my mama made in a month, where the champagne flowed like water and everybody pretended like what was really going on wasn't really going on. Marilyn swore us to secrecy. And honestly, I wasn't trying to snitch. Not when I saw how good she had it. That's what I wanted, to not have to worry about money, to wear nice things, to feel like I was more than just another girl from Sunnydale Village who wasn't gonna amount to nothing. That night, Marilyn took us to a party at Mary's place. That's where I met Alan. I can still see him looking at me from across the room, smooth brown skin, fresh cut, tailored suit that probably cost more than our rent. He walked right past all the grown women in there and came straight to me. Me, little Dottie Barnes, who never had nothing and wasn't supposed to be nothing. "What's your name, beautiful?" he asked, and I swear I felt like Cinderella at the ball. "Dorothy. But everybody calls me Dottie. Can I call you mine?" Corny, right? But at 17, that line hit different. This man, this fine, successful, grown man wanted me. He opened doors for me, held my hand, took me to Capri's Italian high-rise restaurant, and told me to order whatever I wanted. He picked me up to buckle my seatbelt in his Hummer because I was too short to climb up myself, and he did it so gentle, like I was precious. That night, I gave him my number. I didn't tell Marilyn or Nina I left the party with him. I just said I was going to the bathroom and slipped out. We was only gone for a couple hours, but in that time, Alan made me feel like I was the center of his whole world. When we got back to Mary's place, everything had gone to hell. Nina had been drugged and violated by Runyon Nesbitt, some small-time music agent with money and connections. Arias had set her up with him even though all the other girls knew to stay away from him. But Nina was young and impressed by the money, and Runyon took advantage. The only reason it didn't turn into a whole police situation was because Runyon's father-in-law was Assistant Solicitor Denton Wayne Pearson. They kept everything quiet, paid my family $75,000, and made Nina sign papers saying she wouldn't press charges. My mama took that money. Took it and made Nina promise not to tell Daddy who really hurt her. Then she put Nina in a mental institution for a month, told everybody she was getting help for her trauma, but really it was just to keep her quiet and out the way while everything got swept under the rug. I should have fought harder for my sister. I know that now. But at the time, I was so mad at my mama for selling Nina's pain for money, mad at Marilyn for bringing us into that world, mad at Nina for not fighting back harder, and mad at myself for not being able to do nothing about it. The only good thing that came from that horrible weekend was Alan. He texted me every day after we got back home. Sent me pictures of places he wanted to take me, told me I was beautiful, said he couldn't stop thinking about me. When my mama found out about him and tried to forbid me from seeing him because he was too old, I felt like she was just trying to control my life like she controlled Nina's. I was about to graduate high school. I was about to be 18. I didn't need her permission. So when Alan said, "Come be with me," I went. I remember the day I left like it was yesterday. Mama was in the kitchen, going on about rules and respect and my house, my rules. I looked her dead in the eye and said, "Then I won't be in your house no more." I called Alan, he pulled up in that Hummer, and I walked out with just a duffel bag and my pride. For 2 weeks, I thought I had one. Alan put me up in this extended stay motel, down home extended stay, ironically enough, the same place where I work now. We spent every day together. He took me shopping, bought me clothes, jewelry, made love to me like I was the only woman in the world. I felt alive. I felt free. I felt like I was finally living the life I deserved. Then I missed my period. I took 3 tests and all 3 came back positive. I was pregnant. 17, no high school diploma yet, no job, living in a motel, and pregnant. When I told Alan, I was scared. Scared he would leave, scared he would be mad, scared everything would fall apart. But he surprised me. He smiled, picked me up, spun me around, and said, "We're gonna be parents." He gave me $10,000 cash, crisp $100 bills, and told me to go shopping for maternity clothes and baby things. He took me to High Rise, this exclusive rooftop restaurant, to celebrate our family. I ordered the most expensive thing on the menu and didn't even feel guilty about it. This was my life now. This was the life Alan was giving me and our baby. 3 days later, his number was disconnected. I thought it was a mistake at first. Called from the motel phone straight to voicemail. Checked his social media, blocked. Every single account. Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, blocked, blocked, blocked. I went to the airport where he worked. Security wouldn't let me pass the gate. I asked them to call Alan Kelly, and they looked at me like I was crazy. Said they couldn't give out employee information. That's when one of the cleaning ladies at the motel, Renee, sat me down and told me the truth. Alan was married. Had been married for 6 years. Had 3 kids, 2 boys and a girl. His wife's name was Yvonne, and they lived in a nice house in the suburbs with a white picket fence and everything. I was the side chick. The secret. The girl he kept blocked from his real life so his real family wouldn't find out. And now I was pregnant with his baby, with $10,000 that was supposed to last me, and a child for 18 years, living in a motel room that was paid up for 1 more week. Renee helped me get the receptionist job at Down Home Extended Stay. Said the manager owed her a favor. It don't pay much, but it's enough to keep a roof over my head and food in my stomach. The other girls who work here, housekeeping, front desk, the cook, they became my family. They threw me a little baby shower, helped me set up the crib in my room, taught me about WIC and Medicaid and all the resources I was gonna need. But every night, when I lay down in that bed with my hand on my belly, feeling my baby kick, I think about the choices I made. I think about how I disrespected my mama, how I wasn't there for Nina when she needed me most, how I walked away from my family for a man who was never really mine in the first place. I'm too stubborn to go home. Too proud to admit I was wrong. But I'm also scared I can't do this alone. Scared I'm gonna mess up this baby the way I feel like I messed up my own life. My name is Dorothy Dandridge Barnes. I'm 17 years old, 8 months pregnant, and about to be somebody's mama. And this is the story of how I learned that just because somebody says something is just for you, don't mean it's really yours to keep. Alan, you got your troubles, I've got mine. Had I known showing a young girl the finer things in life would end up with her trapping me with a baby, I guess I should have told her from the start that I'm married with children. But truth be told, Dottie was only supposed to be a one-night stand. When she decided to run away from home, I thought she'd get homesick and want to go back. But I wound up having to put her up in an extended stay. I had to lie to my wife, Trini. I told her I had to go out of town on business. I even faked it by having Trini and our 2 youngest children, Brisher and Aaliyah, drop me off at the airport. As soon as I kissed them all goodbye and promised to bring gifts after they left, clean out of sight, I rented a car and drove to Greenville to stay with Dottie. Hell, I would still go to work and come back to the extended stay with Dottie. It was great at first. But by the 2nd week, I found out that all those days I would pick her up from the Tri-City Community College campus and sweep her off her feet would result in her getting pregnant. And the way her eyes lit up whenever I pulled out my black card to buy her expensive clothing or took her out of town to Columbia for secluded dinners. I was only trying to flex to impress her at first. But I couldn't afford to wine and dine her much longer. I was taking money from my household with my wife and kids, the kids I wanted, the only kids I wanted. Trini would tear my heart out and throw it into the furnace if she found out about Dottie. And I was gonna make damn sure Trini didn't find out. See, I'll admit Dottie's not the first woman I cheated on Trini with. But the others knew the score. Dottie was young, so she had stars in her eyes about carrying my baby. I pretended to be happy, but I sat there with a fake-ass Joker smile, wait till they get a load of me, but I was secretly trying to find a way to trip her as she was taking a shower, or as she goes down the stairwell. But I thought of something else. I gave her $10,000 cash. I told her it was for her and the baby. I honestly thought she'd die with glee when I gave her that crisp, fresh cash. Her eyes got so damn big, she looked like Liza Minnelli. I played the part as long as I could. But Yvonne Katrina Trini Kelly is my wife, and she doesn't play. So I knew what I had to do. Any grown-ass woman would have taken that $10,000 after being ghosted and said yeetus to the fetus the moment they realized I skipped out. But not Dottie. Even after 2 weeks since she heard from me, found herself blocked from everything involving me, she tried to reach me. I blocked her. She tried calling from the extended stay. I blocked that number. She tried from other people's phones. Once I realized who they were calling for, I'd ask them to hold on, then hang up and promptly block the number. The airport manager, my boy Zealand, called to let me know a young girl called and came by looking for Alan Kelly. But my pilot profile and credentials have me listed as Stephen A. Kelly. Zealand understood my situation because he himself was in the same sticky situation a few years ago. Only difference is he divorced his first wife for the side chick, who was once a student at the community college he worked for. He also lost his job behind that shit and is utterly miserable. That wasn't gonna be me. I still keep an eye on Dottie though. I usually drive Yvonne's car since Dottie wasn't familiar with it. So I drive by behind tinted windows, and I found out that she took a receptionist job at the extended stay. But just like with Zealand, my other friend Charles is part owner of the place, and I make sure Dottie is good by sending Charles an extra $200 to add to Dottie's pay. But that's as much as I can and will do. I never asked her to leave home. She left on her own recognizance, without any suggestions or help from me. And I never lied to her. I didn't tell her I was married and already had a family, but she never asked. She saw that I had money, and that was all that mattered to her. I barely said howdy doody, and she was draped all over me like a velvet Prada robe. Young, dumb, and gold digging will pay a young girl's fare straight to nowhere. I see she's getting bigger by the day, but I can't help her any more than I already have. I mean, I'm sure once she drops that load, she can and will get down and get up. She'll be a more experienced type of gold digger. Nina. Not worth the emotion. I just stand in awe at the large acres, but knowing the history that came along with the property made me want to question my mama's sanity. Any attention she could get, she graciously accepted it, good or bad. It seems since Daddy's accident, she relished the praise and attention for being there for Daddy, taking care of him. And she smiled and hung her head at a humble angle. But I always wondered, why does she deserve praise for that? I mean, isn't that what she's supposed to do? In sickness and in health. She gets no medals from me. I mean, she's good to Daddy, but she doesn't do it alone. My two older brothers, Carrie and Clark, make sure Daddy gets to and from therapy, keep him shaved, showered, and smooth, as Daddy puts it. Marilyn, Dottie, and myself have always been Daddy's girls. And our two brothers have a great relationship with Daddy, but they're Mama's boys. They adore Mama, and to her, they can do no wrong even when they do wrong. Especially by some girl they're dating. It's always the girl's fault, although Mama knows her sons are gigolos from side to side. But I can say this about them. When Daddy had his accident, they both dipped into their 401 Burmese chots and moved us into a bigger house. We occupied the bottom, and they had the top portion renovated into 2 one-bedroom apartments for their privacy. But after the events that happened at Mary's place, or should I say when I hooked up with Runyon Nesbitt there, brother was fine. I mean Idris, Denzel, Brian J. White, Morris Chestnut fine, with a Chris Brown swag. And he had the bank account to match it. How do I know this? I paired my phone to his unbeknownst to him. When he used his phone to pay for the 2 dinners from Wingstop, I could see the balance showing on the black card. I won't divulge, but let's just say I knew I met with the right guy. I mean, I was a bit hesitant when he admitted that he has a wife and kids, but told me that if I played my part and stayed in my lane, I would never have anything to worry about. I agreed. And just like that, we stopped at an ATM. He withdrew $2,000, and he handed it to me. I knew I was in there. Never would I have thought I was within minutes from getting attacked and beaten, I mean beaten badly, and dumped in the parking lot at Mary's place. Luckily Arias had known who I left the club with. One of Mary's patrons was Judge Timothy Talley. He instructed Marilyn and Dottie, who just walked up out of nowhere, to get me downstairs to this lady named Josie. I was in pain, but I was glad that Dottie was okay. I had seen her sneak off with a smooth wolf in sheep's clothing, secretly married vibe. But accentuating the positive, eliminating the negative, and not messing with Mr. In-Between, the guy was handsome. And I saw him lift her up into a badass battleship gray Hummer. I was sure she had struck pure gold. Marilyn had no choice but to call our parents. Mom's mother, Grandma Sanji, stayed with Daddy, while Mama and my brothers came to see about me. I was prepared to give them my version of what happened. Scared, I fully intended to leave Runyon's name out of it as my abuser and sexual assaulter. I was gonna say I stepped outside and a guy started a conversation and turned very aggressive. But Runyon and a man, whom I found out was Denton Wayne Pearson, Runyon's father-in-law and assistant solicitor, showed up. And before I knew it, while my brothers were out looking for the car I falsely described, Runyon's father-in-law took my mother to the side and paid her a cool, crisp $75,000 for me not to implicate Runyon in the attack. It could and would be a scandal to Denton's platform. And if his daughter found out what happened, it would look bad on Runyon, who worked closely with his father-in-law. Just as long as I kept quiet, the money was ours. No questions asked. I watched Mama's eyes light up when she saw that stack. 75 bands. And just like that, my pain had a price tag. My trauma got sold to the highest bidder, and Mama was the auctioneer. Carrie and Clark came back empty-handed, talking about they couldn't find the car I described. Of course they couldn't, I lied about it. But by then, the deal was done. Mama had the money tucked in her purse and Runyon and his father-in-law were ghost. The ride home was quiet. Mama kept looking back at me from the front seat, asking if I was okay. I just nodded. What else was I supposed to say? That she just traded my dignity for a down payment on a better life? When we got home, Mama told Daddy I got jumped outside the club. Said some random dudes tried to rob me. Daddy was heated, talking about calling the police, but Mama convinced him it was better to just let it go. Said the trauma was enough without dragging it out with investigations and court dates. A week later, Mama told me I needed to go somewhere to heal. She said it like it was a spa vacation, but really she was shipping me off to Pinehaven Behavioral Health Center, a mental institution about 2 hours away from home. It's just for a little while, baby, she said, packing my bags like we was going on a trip. You need time to process what happened. The doctors there will help you. Help me? Or help her keep me quiet? I stayed at Pinehaven for 32 days. Therapy sessions where I couldn't tell the truth about what really happened. Group meetings with other girls who actually had mental health issues while I sat there knowing I was only there to keep my mouth shut. Medication I didn't need but took anyway because it was easier than fighting. When I finally came home, Daddy hugged me tight and told me how proud he was that I was being so strong. Carrie and Clark treated me like I was fragile, like I might break if they said the wrong thing. And Mama? She smiled at me across the dinner table like everything was normal. Like she hadn't sold me out for $75,000. But the worst part? The absolute worst part was seeing what Mama did with that money. She paid off some bills. Put a new roof on the house. Bought Daddy a better wheelchair. And she put the rest in a savings account for our future, she said. Blood money. That's what it was. And every time I saw Mama spend $1 of it, I felt sick. But I kept quiet. Just like they paid me to. Dottie never understood why I got so distant after that trip. She was too caught up in her new man, too busy sneaking out to meet Alan, too in love with the fantasy he was selling her. And honestly, I was jealous. She got to be happy while I was drowning. She got the romance while I got the assault and the payoff. I never told her the truth about Runyon or the money. What was the point? She wouldn't have understood anyway. She would have told me I should be grateful we got paid, that at least something good came out of it. But there's nothing good about being violated, and then having your own mama put a price on your pain. Now here we are, almost a year later. Dottie's pregnant and abandoned, Marilyn's still at Mary's place making her money, and I'm sitting in this big house that blood money paid for, trying to figure out who I am now. They say everything happens for a reason. They say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But nobody tells you what to do when your own family is the one who broke you. Nobody gives you a manual for how to forgive your mama for choosing money over justice. So I just exist. Go through the motions. Smile when I'm supposed to smile. And late at night, when everybody's asleep, I count the cost of my silence and wonder if $75,000 was really worth what it cost me. Chapter 2. Dottie. Reality check, before welfare check. My water broke on a Tuesday. I was at the front desk, checking in an older white couple who kept asking if the room had a microwave, when I felt the warm gush between my legs. At first I thought I pissed myself, but then the cramping started, sharp and low, like somebody was squeezing my insides with pliers. Oh shit, I whispered, gripping the counter. The woman looked at me with wide eyes. Honey, are you? My water just broke. I said it out loud, and suddenly everything felt real. Too real. Renee came running from the back office, took one look at me, and started barking orders. Keisha, call 911. Tanisha, get some towels. Dottie, baby, sit down before you fall down. But I couldn't sit. I couldn't move. All I could think was, I'm about to have this baby. Alone. In a motel. At 17. The ambulance came quick. The EMTs, a black woman with locks and a young Latino guy, loaded me onto the stretcher while Renee held my hand and told me everything was gonna be okay. You want us to call your mama? She asked. No. I said it too loud, too desperate. No, don't call her. Please. Renee nodded, but I could see the pity in her eyes. Nobody should have a baby without their mama. But pride is a hell of a drug, and I was still high on it. At the hospital, they put me in a room and hooked me up to monitors. The contractions were coming faster now, each one worse than the last. I squeezed the bed rail and tried to breathe like they taught us in the free prenatal class at the health department. Is there anyone we can call for you? The nurse asked. She was older, black, with kind eyes and a no-nonsense vibe. Baby daddy? Family? I shook my head, tears streaming down my face. The baby daddy was somewhere living his best life with his real family. And my family? They didn't even know where I was. Okay, baby, the nurse said, patting my hand. Then it's just you, me, and this baby. And we gonna get through this together. Labor is some next-level pain. They don't tell you that in health class. They don't tell you it feels like your body is splitting in half, like you're dying and being reborn at the same time. They don't tell you that you'll beg for drugs, for mercy, for somebody to just make it stop. I screamed. I cried. I cursed Alan Kelly's name and every choice I made that led me to this moment. And then, after 14 hours of hell, I heard it. The cry. My baby's cry. It's a girl, the doctor announced, holding up this tiny, screaming, perfect little human covered in blood and vernix. A girl. I had a daughter. They cleaned her up and laid her on my chest, and I swear to God, everything else disappeared. The pain, the fear, the shame, all of it vanished the moment I looked into her eyes. She was beautiful. Brown skin, full head of curly black hair, Alan's nose, my mouth. She was staring up at me like she was trying to figure out who I was, and I was doing the same thing. What's her name? The nurse asked. I hadn't thought about it. Hadn't let myself think that far ahead because I was too scared I'd mess this up. But looking at her, feeling her tiny hand wrap around my finger, I knew exactly what her name should be. Hope, I whispered. Her name is Hope Renee Kelly. Renee, because the woman who helped me when nobody else would deserve to be honored. Kelly, because even though Alan was a piece of shit, this baby was half him, and I couldn't erase that. And Hope, because if I didn't have that, I didn't have nothing. The first night in the hospital was the longest night of my life. Every time Hope cried, I panicked. Was she hungry? Did she need changing? Was she sick? The nurses kept coming in to help me, showing me how to breastfeed, how to swaddle, how to check her diaper. By morning, I was exhausted. But when Hope latched on and started nursing, looking up at me with those big dark eyes, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Purpose. This little girl needed me. Not Alan, not my mama, not nobody else. Me. 2 days later, they discharged us. Renee picked us up in her old Honda and drove us back to the motel. The other ladies had decorated my room, pink balloons, a welcome home banner, stuffed animals piled on the bed. They'd chipped in and bought diapers, wipes, formula, baby clothes. Even bought a little bassinet from Goodwill. We got you, baby, Tanisha said, hugging me while I cried. We family now. And they were. These women, housekeepers, front desk workers, cooks, became my village. They taught me how to burp Hope, how to soothe her when she cried, how to survive on 3 hours of sleep. They took turns watching her when I had to work, brought me food when I was too tired to eat, reminded me to shower when I forgot I was a person outside of being a mama. But late at night, when it was just me and Hope in that little motel room, I'd think about my real family. About how Daddy would have loved to meet his granddaughter. About how Nina would have been the best auntie. About how even Mama, for all her faults, would have known what to do when Hope had colic and cried for hours. I thought about calling them. Had my finger hovering over Mama's number more times than I can count. But every time, pride stopped me. Pride and shame, two sides of the same coin. What would I even say? Hey Mama, remember when I told you I didn't need you? Well, I was wrong. I'm 17 with a newborn, working at a motel, and the man I chose over y'all turned out to be married with a whole family. But come meet your granddaughter. Nah, I couldn't do it. So I did what I had to do. I worked my shifts, took care of Hope, and tried not to think about the future beyond tomorrow. Because thinking too far ahead made me remember that I was still just a kid myself, playing grown-up, praying I didn't break this little girl the way I felt broken. Hope deserved better than me. But I was all she had. So I was gonna have to be enough. Alan. Out of sight, out of mind. Daddy, when you gonna take us to Disney World like you promised? I looked up from my phone to see my daughter Aaliyah staring at me with those big brown eyes, Trini's eyes. She was 6 years old, still believed I hung the moon, still thought I could do no wrong. Soon, princess, I said, pulling her onto my lap. Daddy's just been real busy with work. You're always busy, she pouted. Trini walked into the living room, drying her hands on a dish towel. Leave your daddy alone, Laya. He's working hard for us. If she only knew what kind of work I'd been doing. It had been 2 months since I ghosted Dottie. 2 months of blocking numbers, avoiding that side of town, and pretending like she never existed. Zealand told me she had the baby, a girl. Even sent me a picture he got from Charles, the motel owner. I looked at it once. She had my nose. Dottie's mouth. Light brown skin. Pretty baby, I guess. Then I deleted the picture and cleared my trash folder. That baby wasn't mine. Not really. Not in any way that mattered. Because claiming her would mean destroying everything I built with Trini. And I wasn't about to do that for some side situation that got out of hand. Babe, you good? Trini asked, sitting down next to me on the couch. Yeah, why? You've been quiet lately. Distant. She touched my face. Something bothering you? Everything was bothering me. The guilt I didn't want to feel. The paranoia that Dottie might show up at my house. The nagging thought that somewhere in this city, my daughter was growing up without me, and that was exactly what I wanted. Just work stress, I lied, kissing Trini's hand. Nothing for you to worry about. She smiled, satisfied with the answer. That's what I loved about Trini, she trusted me. Even when she probably shouldn't. My phone buzzed. A text from Zealand. Asterisk, dude, we need to talk. It's about the girl. Meet me at Lucky's in 20. Asterisk. I looked at Trini, who was watching Brisher and Aaliyah play. Babe, I gotta run out real quick. Work thing. Now? It's almost bedtime. Won't be long. Promise. She gave me that look, the one that said she was tired of my work things, but was choosing to trust me anyway. I kissed her forehead and grabbed my keys before the guilt could catch up. Lucky's sports bar was half empty on a Wednesday night. Zealand was already at our usual booth in the back, nursing a Heineken and looking at me like I owed him money. Took you long enough, he said. I slid into the seat across from him. Man, what's so urgent you couldn't just tell me on the phone? Because I know you. You'd have hung up on me by now. He pushed his phone across the table. On the screen was a picture, Dottie at the motel front desk, baby Hope strapped to her chest in one of them wrap things, dark circles under her eyes that looked like bruises. Charles sent me that yesterday, Zealand said. She's been working double shifts. Baby's 3 weeks old, and she's already back at work full-time because she can't afford childcare. I pushed the phone back. I told you, I send Charles money every week to add to her pay. 200 extra. That's crumbs, Alan. Zealand's voice rose, and a few people looked over. He lowered it, but kept the heat. That's beer money to you. You just dropped $3,000 on Trini's birthday trip to Miami, but you sending this girl, the mother of your child, $200 a week like that's supposed to mean something. What do you want me to do, Zealand? Write her a check with my real name on it? Show up at the motel with a car seat and an apology? You know I can't do that. Why not? Why not? I stared at him like he'd lost his mind. Because I got a wife, man. I got 3 kids who think their daddy walks on water. I got a life, a good life, and I'm not about to blow it up over a mistake. A mistake. Zealand shook his head, disgusted. That baby ain't a mistake. That's a whole human being. Your daughter. Don't do that. Don't try to guilt-trip me like I'm some deadbeat. I provide for my family. I work hard. You work hard. Zealand cut me off, leaning forward. Dottie's 17 years old, working double shifts with a newborn strapped to her chest, and you talking about you work hard? Man, miss me with that. She chose to keep the baby, I shot back. She could've. Could've what? Got an abortion? That what you wanted? For her to kill your kid so you could keep playing family man with Trini. Zealand's jaw was tight. You sound real familiar right now. Like me 6 years ago. I leaned back. Here we go. Yeah, here we go. Because maybe you need to hear this shit again. Zealand took a long pull from his beer. You remember when I was married to Tarina? Working at Tri-City Community College, good job, good benefits, nice house in Hampton Acres. I remember. You remember how I lost all that? I stayed quiet because I knew where this was going. I was teaching Introduction to Business Administration, Zealand continued, his voice tight. And this girl, Yael, she was in my Tuesday through Thursday class. 20 years old, pretty, always sitting in the front row asking questions, staying after class for help. Zealand. Nah, let me finish. Because this is where you and me the same. He pointed at me. I knew better. I was 32 years old, married for 8 years, and I knew better. But y'all made me feel like I was somebody. Like I was interesting. Like I mattered beyond being just Tarina's husband or the guy who taught boring-ass business classes. He paused, staring at his beer bottle. Started off innocent. Office hours. Then coffee. Then lunch off campus. Then. He shook his head. Then I was picking her up from her dorm, taking her to that same extended stay where you had Dottie, lying to my wife about faculty meetings and conferences. I know the story, man. But do you know how it ended? Zealand looked up at me. Y'all got pregnant. And, just like you gave Dottie $10,000, I gave y'all 15. Told her to take care of it. Said I'd pay for whatever she needed. But she kept the baby. And Tarina found out. Tarina found out because y'all showed up at my job, 8 months pregnant, asking to talk to me. Security called me down to the lobby, and there she was. Belly out to here, crying, saying she needed help because her parents kicked her out when they found out her professor got her pregnant. Zealand's hands were shaking now. The dean was in the lobby. 3 of my colleagues. Students everywhere. And there was no hiding it. No lying my way out. The baby looked just like me when he was born, still does. His name is Zealand Jr., and he's 5 years old now. I didn't know what to say. Lost my job, Zealand continued. Not because I cheated, because I had a relationship with a student. That's a violation. They gave me the option to resign or be fired. I resigned. Lost my pension, my benefits, everything. Tarina divorced you. Tarina didn't just divorce me. She took me to court for everything we had. The house, the cars, the savings, all of it. And you know what? She was right too. Because I didn't just cheat on her. I humiliated her. Made her look stupid in front of everybody we knew. Her family, our church, our friends, everybody knew her husband knocked up a college student. He finished his beer and signaled for another. So I married Yael. Not because I loved her, but because I felt guilty. Because she was the mother of my son and had nowhere to go. And you know what? I'm miserable, Alan. Every single day. That's not. Yael resents me because I don't love her the way she thought I would. My son is growing up in a house where his parents barely speak to each other. Tarina won't let me see our daughter, she's 15 now and won't even take my calls. And I work at the airport managing gates instead of teaching, making half what I used to make, because nobody wants to hire the professor who got fired for messing with a student. Zealand leaned forward, his eyes hard. And you know what the worst part is? If I had just been honest from the jump, if I had told Tarina the truth when it first happened, maybe we could have worked through it. But I lied. I hid. I did exactly what you're doing right now. And it cost me everything. The waitress brought Zealand's beer and left without a word. So when you sit here and tell me you got it all figured out, Zealand said quietly, When you tell me you ain't telling Trini, you ain't claiming hope. You gonna keep sending Dottie $200 a week like that makes you a good man? All I see is me 6 years ago. And I'm trying to save you from what I went through. It's different, I said, but my voice didn't sound convincing even to me. How? Because you used a fake name? Because Dottie don't know where you live? Zealand shook his head. Man, the truth don't care about your plan. It's gonna come out. And when it does, not if, when, you gonna lose everything just like I did. Only difference is, I at least got to know my son. You won't even have that. I can't tell Trini. Then you gonna lose her anyway. Just slower. More painful. Zealand stood up and dropped a 20 on the table. I tried to warn you before you got in too deep with Dottie. You didn't listen. I'm trying to warn you now before it all falls apart. But you ain't gonna listen to this either. Zealand. I see y'all every day and wish I was somewhere else. I look at my son and love him but hate how he got here. I drive past my old house, the one Tarina still lives in with her new husband, and I remember what I threw away for what I thought was something better. His voice cracked. Don't be me, Alan. Don't wake up 5 years from now in a life you hate, married to somebody you resent, cut off from the kids you actually planned for, all because you was too proud to face what you did. I made my choice. And you gonna live with it. Just like I live with mine. Zealand grabbed his jacket. But when Trini finds out, and she will, don't call me crying about it. Because I tried to tell you. He walked out, and I sat there alone in that booth, staring at my phone. I opened my deleted photos folder, the one I swore I emptied, and there she was. Hope. 3 days old. Sleeping in a hospital bassinet with a little pink hat on her head. My daughter. Zealand's words echoed in my head. Asterisk, I at least got to know my son. You won't even have that. Asterisk. I stared at that picture for 5 whole minutes. Then I deleted it again. Emptied the trash. Cleared everything. Because maybe Zealand was right about what was coming. But today wasn't that day. And I was gonna keep pretending as long as I could. I hung up and looked at myself in the bathroom mirror. Same face. Same man. But somewhere inside, something felt different. Heavier. I pushed it down. Locked it away. Because that's what you do when you make choices you can't take back. You bury them deep and keep moving. When I came back to the living room, Brisher, my oldest at 8, was wrestling with Aaliyah on the floor, and Trini was laughing at them. This was my life. My real life. The one that mattered. Dottie and that baby? They were a mistake. A consequence. A problem I solved by disappearing. And as long as I kept my distance, everything would be fine. It had to be. Nina. Mama bought a new car with Runyon's money. A Toyota Camry, silver, with leather seats and a sunroof. She acted like it was some great achievement, like she saved up for it or something. But I knew the truth. Every time I saw her driving it, all I could think about was how she bought that car with my pain. Nina, baby, you want to go to the store with me? Mama asked, jangling the keys. Nah, I'm good. You sure? We could get lunch, spend some time together. I looked at her, really looked at her, and wondered if she even felt guilty. If she ever thought about what she did. If it kept her up at night like it kept me up. I said I'm good, Mama. She left, and I went to Daddy's room. He was in his wheelchair by the window, watching birds at the feeder Carrie put up for him. Hey, princess, he said, smiling when he saw me. Hey, Daddy. I sat on his bed, and we stayed quiet for a while. That's what I loved about Daddy, he never pressured me to talk. He just let me be. You ever feel like people you love let you down? I finally asked. Daddy turned his chair to face me. All the time. What do you do about it? Depends. Sometimes you forgive them. Sometimes you don't. But either way, you gotta figure out how to live with whatever you decide. I nodded, tears burning my eyes. Nina, Daddy said gently, whatever happened in Greenville. I know your mama's version ain't the whole truth. My heart stopped. What? I've been paralyzed, not stupid. I know my daughters. And I know when somebody's lying to protect something. I wanted to tell him. Wanted to spill everything right there. But I couldn't. Because telling Daddy meant breaking Mama's heart. Meant exposing what she did. Meant destroying what little piece we had left. I'm okay, Daddy, I lied. Just still processing. He reached for my hand. Whenever you're ready to tell me the truth, I'm here. No judgment. No blame. Just love. I cried then. Ugly cried while Daddy held my hand and told me I was stronger than I knew. But he was wrong. I wasn't strong. Strong people stand up for themselves. Strong people don't let their mamas sell their trauma for a car and a savings account. I was weak. Broken. And I didn't know how to fix myself. Dottie had been gone for months now. No calls, no texts, nothing. Marilyn said she heard Dottie had a baby but wasn't sure where she was staying. Part of me wanted to find her. To tell her I was sorry for being so distant after everything happened. To meet my niece. To rebuild what we broke. But another part of me was still mad at her. Mad that she got to escape while I was stuck here with the memories and the blood money and the lies. Mad that she chose Alan over us. Over me. Mad that even though she got played, at least she got to feel loved, even if it was fake. I never even got that. Just trauma. And $75,000 that I didn't want and would never touch. Blood money. That's all it was. And it was eating me alive. Monica. They get it from their mama. People always want to act like I'm supposed to be ashamed. Like I did something wrong by taking that money and keeping my family afloat. Like I'm supposed to apologize for making sure we had a roof over our heads and food in our mouths. But let me tell you something, I ain't apologizing to nobody. My 3 daughters. Lord have mercy. Marilyn, Dottie, and Nina. They all got they daddy and that's the problem. Benjamin always thought he was too good for the life we had, always dreaming about something better instead of being grateful for what was right in front of him. Now look, he's paralyzed in that wheelchair, and I'm the one holding everything together, with the help of our sons, Carrie and Clark, me. Not him. Marilyn. My oldest. 22 years old, dropped out of college to shake her ass at some gentleman's club. You think I don't know what really goes on at Mary's place? I wasn't born yesterday. She think because she got a townhouse and a Lexus that she's winning. But she's selling herself, piece by piece, and one day she gonna wake up and realize she gave away something she can never get back. All that education I scraped together money for wasted. Because she wanted to take the easy way out, just like her daddy always did. Looking for shortcuts instead of putting in the work. I tried to raise her better than that. Tried to show her that you don't need a man's money to make it in this world. But she saw them designer bags and that fast money and got stars in her eyes. Now she's too far gone to come back. She calls me once a week, lying about having a hospitality job. Hospitality. That's what we calling it now? She think I'm stupid, but I let her believe I believe her. Because if I call her out, she'll stop calling altogether. And I can't lose all my daughters. Dottie, Lord Jesus, where do I even start? 17 years old, hard-headed as they come, and convinced she knows everything. That girl has been running from reality her whole life, always chasing some fantasy that don't exist. And when that grown-ass man pulled up in that Hummer and started filling her head with lies, I knew it was gonna end bad. But could I tell her that? Could I sit her down and explain that men like that don't want nothing but one thing? No. Because she was too busy acting like I was the enemy. She walked out my house over a man who was old enough to know better. A man who should have left her alone in the first place. And now she's out here with a baby, too proud to call home, too stubborn to admit she was wrong. You want to know what hurts? It ain't that she left. It's that she looked me in my eye and said, "Then I won't be in your house no more," like I was the one who failed her. Like I didn't work 3 jobs to keep clothes on her back and food in her mouth. Like I didn't sacrifice my own happiness to make sure she and her sisters had something I never had. But I ain't calling her. If she wanna be grown, she can be grown. She'll learn the hard way, just like I did. Nina.my baby girl. The one I was trying to protect, and now she look at me like I'm the monster. She don't understand what I did for her. She don't understand that $75,000 was the difference between justice that would have dragged her name through the mud and closure that let her move on with her life. You think I wanted to take that money? You think it was easy watching that man hand me a stack of bills in exchange for my daughter's silence? It wasn't. But I did what I had to do. Because that's what mothers do, we make the hard choices so our children don't have to. If we had gone to the police, you know what would have happened? They would have put Nina on trial. They would have asked her what she was wearing, how much she had to drink, why she went with him in the first place. They would have torn her apart in front of a courtroom full of strangers, and for what? So Runyon Nesbitt could walk free anyway because his father-in-law got connections? Nah. I wasn't about to let that happen to my baby. So I took the money, paid off our debts, put a new roof on the house, got Benjamin a better wheelchair, put the rest away for emergencies. And yeah, I bought myself a car because I earned it. I've been driving that same ragged Toyota for 15 years, and I deserve something nice for once in my life. But Nina don't see it that way. She see that car and think I sold her out. She see me spending that money and think I don't care about what happened to her. But I do care. I care so much it's killing me. Every time I look at her, I see the little girl who used to crawl in my bed during thunderstorms. The little girl who used to braid my hair and tell me I was the prettiest mama in the world. And now she can barely look at me. I sent her to Pine Haven because I thought it would help. I thought if she could talk to somebody, a professional, she could process what happened without it destroying her. But she came back worse. Quiet. Distant. Angry. And I don't know how to fix it. People want to judge me. They want to say I'm a bad mother because I took that money. Because I made Nina sign them papers. Because I didn't go to the police and let them destroy my daughter's life for the sake of justice. But them same people ain't never had to choose between they child's dignity and they child's future. They ain't never had to look they baby in the eye and decide which kind of pain she could survive. I did what I thought was right. And if that makes me the villain in my daughter's story, then so be it. Because at the end of the day, they still got a roof over their heads. They still got food to eat. They still got a mama who would do anything to protect them. Even if it means they hate me for it. Marilyn out here selling herself for designer bags. Dottie out here playing house with a married man's baby. Nina out here looking at me like I'm the one who hurt her. And me? I'm still here. Still standing. Still holding this family together even though it's falling apart in my hands. They didn't get that strength from they daddy. They got it from me. They just don't know it yet. Trini Kelly. The trouble I've seen, literally. The kids are with my parents for a week so they can return home even more spoiled. Actually, my parents, our really maternal uncle, Bernard Smith, and his wife, my Aunt Julia, they adopted me when I was 4 years old. My daddy died of an aneurysm when I was 2, and by the time I was nearing my 4th birthday, my mom would also be deceased. However, unlike my dad, my mom died at her own hands, for her own selfish reasons. My mom was very beautiful. Striking resemblance to actress Elise Neal, but the one thing that made her attractive was also the one thing that made her vulnerable, so much so that she called my brother Ethan into her bedroom, where she and her boyfriend, Sergio Grayson, had been arguing. Mom was mad because he wouldn't leave his wife, Senna. Trini, Ethan, Sergio got you a gift, but you have to wait about 5 months before it gets here. Mama drunkenly said, despite what she had said, she looked no larger in the belly than usual, and she still drank like a fish. Tennille, I am not going to tell you this again. Kids, you two walk up the street to Burger King, here's $20 each, and be careful, I need to talk with your mama. Ethan and I graciously accepted the money, but we had no intention of spending it at Burger King when we had just gone grocery shopping yesterday. Ethan slid his phone behind a picture on the mantle so we could go into my room to watch and listen to what was going away on, but I knew if they began messing around I was gonna disconnect the whole damn stream. Mama, Sergio, I am having this baby. You're gonna support the baby, you're gonna be in the babies, and you're gonna leave that bitch of a wife. That's how it's gonna be. Sergio, Tennille, that is not even an option. You knew the deal when we first hooked up. I have a wife and 4 kids. I ain't going nowhere that my wife and kids aren't there with me. Mama. Nah, Sergio. You promised me that if I could just wait. Well, wait broke down Grandpa's wagon. But you not gonna weigh me down. I am pregnant with your baby. And you will respect me as such, meaning no kids on the side. You will leave your wife and marry me before this baby is born. Sergio, respect. How am I supposed to respect you? Hell, you don't even respect yourself, your kids, or the impression you are making on them. Mama, and what respect do you have for them coming over here sleeping with and getting me pregnant? Sergio, I respect your kids, which is why I never come here after they go to bed and leave an hour after I arrive. They saw me here with you for the first time today. Our kids are friends. How do you know they won't tell my kids about this? Your selfish ass ever think of that? Mama, you're damn skippy. I want them to tell them. I mean, what does it matter? You are leaving. You are gonna raise this baby, Sergio, if it's the last thing you ever do. You are going to raise this baby in a two-parent household. Just like you raised your other kids. Sergio, Tennille, baby gal, hear me, and hear me good. If this baby is mine, Audrey, and I will adopt the baby. I don't know how your two kids manage to be so intelligent and respect being raised by your ass. I told you over and over again. I did what I did. But I love my wife. Mama, and I am telling you, I don't care, because it's not even gonna matter. She is gonna find out sooner or later, because I am having this baby. Sergio, Tennille, I truly hate the day I met you. I hate that I got involved with you. But what I hate truly hate, is you, Tennille. So much, in fact, I won't even be sad when the shoe does fall. But if I hear about it, I will dance a jig of joy. Mama, you have 5 days to drop the news on Senna, or I will. Sergio, bitch, you crazy as a fish with tits. 5 days, huh? Well, too bad. Senna and I are celebrating 17 years of marriage and going on a second honeymoon, and if you even think about contacting me or my wife, I will have your ass locked up so damn fast it will yank your whole damn soul from your body. He then grabbed his keys, coat, and hat, turned and walked out the door so fast with Mama hot on his trail. Enjoy it while it lasts, because once I finish telling it, your anniversary will be irrelevant. 5 days later, Mama broke into Sergio's basement, which was connected to the house. Knowing Sergio's kids were out of town with their grandparents, Mama knew Sergio and Senna should be coming home from shopping for their upcoming trip. Senna found a note on her dresser. It read, "Look in the closet. A little something to say happy anniversary." Senna thought it was an additional gift from Sergio, but he was just as puzzled. They opened their closet, and there was my mom's body hanging inside with a positive EPT around her neck. And I am telling this story because I want to be justified with my suspicion of my own husband Alan, who seems to be jittery at each text or messenger notification sounds off. Trust one, am not trying to look for trouble and find it someplace. I am just not going to be the fool in love that my mom turned out to be. But my saving grace is, Alan knows better than to pull that mess with me. Oh, I keep a third eye trained on his ass, but something is up with his ass. I don't know what it is, but he and his bestie Zealand were at one time birds of a feather. Zealand still had no sense. Out here married to his former student / stalker / baby mama / second wife, and half Zealand's age, and ever since he left Tarina for this young tramp, he has been looking like droopy. See, Katrina decided to bow out gracefully, but I am a different type of woman, and Alan better hope he never does anything to find out. You see, just like his dog-ass wannabe professor with only a GD best friend, Alan was married once before, and I somewhat sympathize on the bad rap a side chick gets, but I wasn't ever Alan's side chick. He and Tracy were already divorced when he and I met, and since they have no children together, she need not ever contact my husband with even a happy birthday sentiment. See, when Zealand pulled that shit on Tarina, Tarina should have walked a bona fide dog on his ass and record it and send it to Brenda Ritchie saying what an amazing influence she has been on her. I mean, I love my husband, but as the Tams once sang, what kind of fool do you think I am? I saw what being a fool in love does to a woman, namely my mother, Tennille Smith. I mean, my dad died young and left her to be a widow with 2 kids, but it's not like he meant to do the shit, and it's not as if he didn't leave her, maybe not rich people rich, but he did leave her enough to be hood rich so that she, Ethan, nor myself should ever want for anything. But my mom wanted Sergio more than she wanted her own children, and that is a shame. Because that shit alone left me paranoid and not easily trusting in nature, and I hope against all hope that although I have had suspicion of Alan cheating, but no proof, and heaven help his ass if I ever find out that he is, because my ass was gonna be rocking that orange prison jumpsuit, I swear, just give me the reason. Alan. The bitch does indeed visits the daughter. I decided to go pay my parents a visit, which meant giving my paternal grandpa Roland and my maternal grandma Sheila, since they all live in the same house. It's really complicated for me to explain. Grandma Jan. My paternal grandmother died in 1984 and my maternal grandfather died in 1991, so during the grieving and support, they became a couple. Do you have any idea how hard that is to explain to people at my job, church, Oz? Hell, it's just weird, but I guess they want someone to grow old with. Truth be told, my parents think the shit is cute until my wife began teasing them about it. However, that is always something she taunts me with during arguments, which we have been having a lot of them lately, she sneered. Go to hell, Alan. That's why your mama's brother is your daddy. I ignore her even though she knows damn well my grandparents married each other in 2013. Y'all don't know how much Trini is a bit crazy. She told me the story of what happened to her mother and how her mom's suicide tires she and her brother up. But Ethan seems to be handling it, but then again he went to counseling. Trini refused to do so, but when I tell you she needs it because I am tired of her taking out her mom's suicide on me, hell, I didn't even know the woman I was raised in a whole other city, and, just like Trini, I was a child when she decided to put a man over her children and succeeded in bungee cord jumping inside the man and his wife's closet. I know one thing: if Trini ever attempts that shit, she better hope it fails, because insurance doesn't pay for self-murder. She is a great wife and mother, but it's like living with Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. But in many ways, had it not been for Trini's late grandparents, I would have nothing. Not only did they get me a job at the airport, first as a manager, now as a bodyguard on the weekends to a family by the name of Wall. Donald Wall is the mayor of Greer, South Carolina, and his wife, Keely, as well as their sons, Donald Jr. and Baker, are high-powered and in-demand defense attorneys. So that, and the fact I refuse to live anywhere away from Brisher and Aaliyah, I love my kids, they are my everything, which is why Dottie's baby is just that, Dottie's baby. Man, I tell you, I can't even entertain the thought, but I make sure they are good, but she doesn't know it. I add $200 to her paycheck each week, since my friend is general manager, and I am shocked that Dottie, who is paid under the table, I mean, come on, she must know being a receptionist is not a $600 a week job, but I admire the fact she didn't run to get the monthly Mother's Day check, welfare, but then again she is under 20. One, and the agency would frown on the fact she lives in a hotel with a newborn, and the babysitter is also an employee, getting paid for babysitting on the job, even if it is her off shift. I've seen pic that Dottie published on social media pages, and Riri, which is how Dottie refers to the baby, who looks exactly like my kids, except she has Dottie's golden brown skin, but she is no doubt mine. But I can't throw away my marriage and my kids, the ones I actually wanted. I tried to make the situation better. I actually reached out to her mom, Monica. I had no plan at all to talk with her dad or brother since the three of them are affiliated with the law. I was surprised when I never got some type of trouble. But I finally realized it was Monica who kept them off my ass, but she didn't do it in favor of me. She did it because I asked her to come to get Dottie, even sent money for her to do so. However, once she got the money, she informed me that Dottie refused to return home. But now Monica is texting me and demanding more money or she will tell Trini. At first I thought Dottie was in on the ratchet scheme until I found out Dottie never was visited by her mom. I confronted Monica via text. I need you to come and take Dottie home. I will send you enough for travel and a small bit each month for the baby. Monica, why? Nobody put her out. She followed you knowing damn well you are married. You slept with her knowing damn well you are married. Now you want me to come take your pregnant side chick home and to send money every month for the baby. All of which I am sure you don't want your wife to find out. You're damn right. So you need to take Dottie and her baby home. Monica, oh, her baby. So I guess it's an immaculate conception. Dottie's baby. Alan's maybe? Is that what you were trying to say to me? Nigga, please. I tell you what, Dottie is fine just where she is, but this is what I want you to do. I want you to send me $500 every month, and the way I see it, your marriage cannot allow you to say no. I am not paying you a damn thing. Lying ass, you never went to talk to her. You gave her none of the $1,700 I sent to you. And I know this because I know everyone who works at the same motel where Dottie works and lives, and everybody I asked informed me that your ass has not been there. Monica, greedy I may be, But I figured you owed me that since you took my daughter and got her pregnant then ghosting her, making her too ashamed and proud to come home crying because my husband or my sons would arrest your ass. After they beat you within an inch of your life, how are you going to explain this to your wife? I'm thinking her name is Trini, and wow, your kids, the ones you probably want to keep sheltered, yet my grandbaby isn't good enough for you. Or my daughter either for that matter. This pisses me off to no end. So yeah, I'm gonna need that little 500 a month. Me? Don't hold your breath. Monica, you will do it. Damn holding my breath, and if I don't get the money each month, I won't be holding your secret. And if that bitch you call your wife ever steps to my daughter and her baby about your ass, trust me, 500 a month will be the cheapest thing you lose. Send the money. So while everyone labels me the bad guy, but I never intended for Dottie to leave home or get pregnant, and I never knew cheating could be a financial drain. I guess the song was right, it's cheaper to keep her. But I never intended to keep her. Just for You. A novel by Kennedy Brown. Synopsis. Yo, so this is the real deal about what happens when you think you've grown and some smooth-talking older dude makes you believe he's your ticket out the hood. My name is Dorothy Dottie Dandridge Barnes, I'm 17, and I messed up bad. It all started when me and my sister Nina went to check on our oldest sister Marilyn at college. Come to find out, sis wasn't even in school no more. She was out here living her best life working at this bougie gentleman's club called Mary's Place. I'm talking townhouse, designer bags, new whip, the whole nine. And honestly, I wasn't even mad. I was impressed. That night changed everything though. Nina got drugged and violated by some rich dude with connections, and instead of getting justice, my mama took $75,000 to keep quiet and even put Nina in a mental hospital to shut her up. That messed me up, not just what happened to my sister, but how everybody in my family just folded for that money. But me? I met Alan Kelly that same night. 27, fine as hell, pilot for a private jet company. He treated me like a queen, expensive restaurants, shopping sprees, made me feel seen. My mama tried to shut it down, talking about he was too old for me, but I was about to turn 18 and graduate. I felt like I knew what I was doing. So when Alan said he wanted to be with me, I left home. Straight up walked out and didn't look back. For 2 weeks, I was living the dream in an extended stay motel. We were together every day and night. I thought I found my person. Then I got pregnant. Alan acted all happy, gave me $10,000 to shop for the baby, took me to this exclusive rooftop restaurant to celebrate. I really thought we were about to be a family. But a few days later, ghost. Blocked my number, blocked me on everything. Gone. Come to find out, this man got a whole wife and 3 kids I didn't know nothing about. He just dipped and left me pregnant, broke, and basically homeless at 17. I had to get a job at that same motel just to survive. Now I'm working reception, pregnant, trying to figure out how I'm gonna raise this baby by myself. And the whole time, I keep thinking about how I treated Nina after she got violated, how I was so caught up in Alan and his promises that I didn't really have her back when she needed me most. Now here I am, about to be somebody's mama, too stubborn to go home and admit I was wrong, but scared I can't do this on my own. This is my story about learning the hard way that everything that glitters ain't gold, and some men will tell you exactly what you want to hear just to get what they want. Just for You is about the consequences of moving too fast with the wrong person, family secrets that hurt more than they protect, and what it really means to grow up when you got no choice, but to figure it out. Chapter 1. Dottie. Great expectations in 9 months. It's been 11 months since I walked out my mama's house thinking I was about to live my best life with Alan Kelly. 11 months since I chose a man 10 years older than me over my own family. And now look at me, belly big as hell, working a front desk job at Down Home Extended Stay, the same motel where Alan used to lay up with me before he found out I was pregnant and disappeared like smoke. I should have known better. That's what everybody gonna say when they find out. You should have known better, Dottie. But when you 17 and somebody treat you like you matter, like you special, like you the only person in the world, you don't think about what you should know. You just feel what you feel. Let me take you back to where this all started. The weekend me and Nina went to visit Marilyn at college. We was so hyped to see our big sister doing her thing, getting her education, making something of herself. Our daddy had been paralyzed in an accident, and things at home was tight. My brothers Carrie and Clark was trying to step up. We all moved into a bigger house together, and it felt like we was just starting to get back to normal. Mama finally agreed to let us visit Marilyn. We took the Greyhound up there, ready to see her dorm room and meet her college friends. Instead, what we found was that Marilyn had dropped out and was living in a whole townhouse with 2 other girls, Sonia and Arias. Designer clothes hanging in the closet, brand new Lexus in the driveway, expensive perfume on the dresser, all from working at Mary's Place. Mary's Place wasn't just some regular club. This was where rich men came to be entertained by beautiful women, where dates cost more than my mama made in a month, where the champagne flowed like water and everybody pretended like what was really going on wasn't really going on. Marilyn swore us to secrecy. And honestly, I wasn't trying to snitch. Not when I saw how good she had it. That's what I wanted, to not have to worry about money, to wear nice things, to feel like I was more than just another girl from Sunnydale Village who wasn't gonna amount to nothing. That night, Marilyn took us to a party at Mary's place. That's where I met Alan. I can still see him looking at me from across the room, smooth brown skin, fresh cut, tailored suit that probably cost more than our rent. He walked right past all the grown women in there and came straight to me. Me, little Dottie Barnes who never had nothing and wasn't supposed to be nothing. "What's your name, beautiful?" he asked, and I swear I felt like Cinderella at the ball. "Dorothy. But everybody calls me Dottie. Can I call you mine?" Corny, right? But at 17, that line hit different. This man, this fine, successful, grown man wanted me. He opened doors for me, held my hand, took me to Capri's Italian high-rise restaurant, and told me to order whatever I wanted. He picked me up to buckle my seatbelt in his Hummer because I was too short to climb up myself, and he did it so gentle, like I was precious. That night, I gave him my number. I didn't tell Marilyn or Nina I left the party with him. I just said I was going to the
Gotta get that money, get money, my niggas. It takes money to make money.